Today is Tuesday, Parashat Mishpatim. The Torah has laws that involve being humane to animals, to be concerned about the well-being and to relieve suffering of animals. So one of the mitzvot in the parasha of this week is if you see a donkey, they used to have donkeys to carry things. If you see a donkey faltering and crouching under a load, and you have the obligation to relieve, and you see the owner of the donkey trying to take off, to unload that load from the donkey, you cannot just stay aloof and not get involved. You cannot ignore that situation. You have to come forward and assist the person to unload that animal, to relieve the animal from the suffering, and also at the same time to give assistance to someone. Even the way the pasuk reads, "Ki tir'eh hamor sona'acha rovetz tahat masa'o," when you see the donkey of someone you hate crouching under its burden, don't refrain from helping him. So even if the person who owns that donkey is someone that you don't get along with, you have a mitzvah to help and to assist him in unloading that donkey. And you accomplishing two things. You're helping someone and you're also relieving the animal from any suffering. This idea of being humane and caring for the well-being and to not cause any suffering to the animals, we find it in other places also in our teachings. One of the rules is if you have a pet, if you happen to have some animal in your charge, if you have maybe a farm, before you eat your meal, serve first your animals. They should be first to be served before even yourself. You're a farmer, you have a flock of sheep, feed them first and then you eat yourself. So this idea of being careful with the distress or the suffering or caring for in a humane way for animals, and of course more so for people. If you see a person that is carrying a load, figuratively speaking, on his shoulders and he needs your assistance, don't stay aloof. Don't be indifferent. Do what you can to help that person. And as we said, if for animals we're to help, of course, even more so, and definitely for people that we have to be come forward and to help wherever our assistance can relieve the suffering or the distress or help a person carry the load. It could be even an emotional load that you're able through your words to make it easier for the person to deal with whatever challenge he's dealing with. Now there is also another mitzvah that is brought in the Torah much further in the Chumash. I think it's mitzvah 540 and 541. In order the idea not to ignore the situation, and the idea of not only unloading but loading up. Also, you see someone who's trying to bring a load onto his donkey or onto his camel, or maybe he's trying to put a heavy box into the trunk of his car, and then you have a mitzvah to help him also, not just to unload but also to load up. And we've discussed this in the past, but just to put things in perspective again, sometimes a person has a choice of what mitzvah should he give priority to. And if he sees two people, one trying to unload and the other one trying to load up, who should he help first? Of course, the one to unload, because the animal is suffering. Do the mitzvah of helping the person and also relieving the animal from the suffering. When loading up is something that does not involve relieving the suffering of the animal, so you give priority to unloading rather than loading. If you see both scenarios happening at the same time. But the Gemara says there is one exception. If the person who's trying to load up his animal is someone you don't get along with, you help him first before you help the other one to unload, because as you help the person loading up the animal, as you help that person, you'll bring positive emotions in your heart towards him. Incredible principle that we learn from this here. You want to increase affinity and increased love and appreciation and harmony between you and another person, find ways to do things for him. Rather than asking why you haven't done for me, ask yourself what I need to do for that person, and all of a sudden you might find that your emotions, negative emotions towards him, would dissipate, would sort of like evaporate. Because as you do for others, you find that you'll have more appreciation for them. And so therefore the Gemara says, if the person who's trying to load up is someone you don't get along with, and the person who's trying to unload is someone that you do get along with, help the one you don't get along with first to load up, because that will create an extra benefit of bringing positive feelings in your heart towards him. And that's the lesson from today, from the Parashat Mishpatim for Tuesday. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.